Hello and welcome back to Stranded Deep. Last episode we were over here and we were making a little beach feature, a little pile of rocks and some trees and various bits and pieces on the beach. More of a curiosity than anything kind of significant. Then we took this cliff away, which is one of our marker boundary areas, which we have been using on other parts of our island, because we want large areas in each of the quadrants for us to be able to land a raft, but we also want to make it kind of interesting and detailed. Now, once we took that cliff away, it was like, well, hang on a minute, what do we do here? We've got a large sandy area, we can do sort of wetland or something in there, maybe. Kind of interesting. And I thought, hang on a minute, we kind of came over here, started playing around with this area here, and it's like, there's something missing on this island. We have our little submarine, we have our stone circle, we have a little rock bridge with a tiny little saltwater river running underneath it, or a little stream. We even have a little curiosity on top of a hill, we've got little pathways appearing, we've got this rock structure, this little bridge. We've actually got quite a lot of stuff, and it's quite detailed, but we don't have any evidence of the ancient peoples who lived here and obviously cared enough about the island to build these structures. We have no evidence of them living here. They might say, oh, hang on a minute, but ancient peoples would have lived in wooden houses. They would have had thatched roofs. The roofs would have been angled at about 60 degrees. So that the water runs clean off the thatch and doesn't sink in, unlike medieval films where they forget to do things like whitewash the outside of castles and just leave it bare stone and all that sort of stuff. And go nip down the garden centre and get a bit of that stuff used for edging the garden and just use that as a kind of a thatch roof substitute in the background. Yep, Hollywood is terrible when it comes to representing the past. No, you'd be absolutely correct. In fact, I applaud your knowledge of history, and in fact, that's one thing I actually really do like. History is one of my kind of passions. As I wouldn't say I'm an amateur historian, but kind of keen in kind of understanding stuff that went on in the past. Now, since you are this wonderful historian type, you will also know that if we hit lower, we're going to change the amount down. This is kind of an angle anyway. We're going to hit size down a little bit. Not something about that size. Yes, while the wooden posts and thatch and reeds would have rotted away many millennia ago, the effect on the terrain would still be there. So what we're going to do is, I think, make a little test house, or at least the remains of a test house, because this area here is going to be forested. I think we'll just put some trees and stuff along here, and what we'll do is put some rocks and various bits and pieces along here in order for this to make sense. We might even extend the beach out a bit more because we have this huge apron under the water. Here we go, display ocean is off. This huge kind of flat apron under the water, which we can kind of build into. That's going to be quite nice. Now, if we turn that back on, come over here. I think, we have a path here. We have this cliff which we're going to need to do something with because there's no kind of pathway around the front of it. And pathing around islands is very important. So I think we're just going to make sure we're on terrain, make sure we're on raise and lower, make sure the amount is quite far down. That size looks about right. So if we start pushing that down, yeah, we're going to want that. That's pushing a lot of terrain down. In fact, what is it doing? What is it doing? So we've got a little dent in the ground. Nice. Then we're going to go to, not smooth height, set height, read terrain. There we go. I tell you what. That was pointed out in the comments by Nanny Organs, and that is absolutely brilliant because now we can set the height and we can push that in, and that is kind of like pushing a top over a jam jar. We've managed to push that down so the base of this kind of circular area is now flat, which is real nice, and that's exactly what we want. Because it is on a hillside, there is a slight issue with No, we'll get around that. We'll get around that. So I'm not gonna smooth it. Oh no, you say. Oh no, what are you doing? What is wrong? Why would you not smooth it? I'm unsubscribed. No, really, I'm going now. Goodbye. I know. Calm down. Calm your pants. We're gonna get some rocks in here. So let's play with some rocks. Rocky rocks. Because what tended to happen, especially in Cornwall, where I live, is they would have dug a recess in the ground, lined it with rocks, and then had a central post, and then they would have had the roof would have been kind of coming up from ground level, essentially. If you had it on a hill, then the door would be facing down the hill in order to aid any sort of drainage, so the water would sort of go around and down the hill. And that means that when you have a fire or like a fire pit or whatever, you essentially heat up the earth. So it takes a little longer to warm everything up, but once everything's warm, the heat radiates around the inside, and you only lose heat to through the roof, essentially, to the elements when there's a big old storm blowing. Now, I want some rocks, but these rocks are way too big. And I think the other rocks are way too small. That is going to be a problem. Scaling stuff. There is a scale button here, but it's grayed out. That's a bit of a problem. So we've got these 3 rocks here, and then we've got the shoreline rocks, which we got to make sure we never click on, because otherwise we will cause ourselves some issues. In fact, let's go over here, see what we got kicking around here. You look like quite a decent rock. Let's clone you. And drag you over here. The nice thing, press C and then you can just clone a rock and then drag it away. Oh yeah, brilliant. There we go. That's actually what I wanted. Although, I can tell from that, which way is red? It's the red one. Okay, cool. We're going to rotate this a little bit so we got more rock sort of poking out. Press T, and then we know red is down, so we'll pull it out a little bit. Okay. Now this is going to be a little bit experimental because we don't really know how big or small this needs to be, and we won't know until we start sort of slamming a load of kind of masonry in there. We might need to make this a bit bigger, actually. This looks a little bit like it's going to be a little bit on the small side. All right. So we'll raise you up so you can do stuff on mountains, I guess. Grab the old terrain brush. We can set height, and we can actually just change the size outwards because the height is already set. We haven't changed anything else, and we can kind of just go boop and just hold it down. Hold it down. There we go. See, we can put other buildings elsewhere, other structures elsewhere. We might end up sort of making some near the beach. We can make a little fishing community or something. But for the time being, this is going to be house number 1, experimental building. I'm actually kind of liking this. This is neat. I like it. I'm going to make it slightly bigger again. There we go. Yep. There we go, because we're going to lose some of the internal diameter. Oh, that's interesting. That's kind of squared off on the inside. I wonder why that is. I wonder if... I mean, that is a circular brush. I don't know why that would square off. Well, I do, but I'm not going to go into details because we just don't have the time. I'm going to click on this. Give me this. Like, that can go in there. We can always round off the inside using these rocks anyway, so it's not really an issue. It's not an issue. So what we're going to do is sort of have these on the outside so they're just jutting up above the surface. Just a little bit. There we go. So it suggests that there was something here. Nice. Right. Rotate the flat side. So it suggests that they would have gone, oh, you know what? We're building these stone circles. Why don't we just build a little housey house out of the stuff, no? It's exactly how people in Cornwall would have never spoken. I can tell you that for free. Ever. Ever. They would have probably spoken with more of a Gaelic dialect, actually. I think Cornish is kind of an offshoot of, Gaelic. So Irish. They would have spoken more like that. Although the last Cornish speaker, I'm looking for rocks I can steal, by the way. That's exactly what I'm doing. So we're just kind of cloning stuff and seeing what can be just nicked. Because it's all very well stealing the stuff from, just dropping it in from the menu, but just finding stuff, hitting C and then slamming it down is kind of good fun, actually. So, I keep hitting the wrong button. There's no undo. It kind of looked cool the first time I did it. It was like, oh yes, he's making a copy of that rock so we can use it later. I adore the fact that he's doing that. He's like freaking a modern day Gaben Newell. I like he's going to make a steam sail, no? And I'm like, nah, I just keep hitting the wrong button, mate. Right, okay. So, bearing in mind, we're going to smooth this off anyway. And this is super. Actually, I wonder if there's an item limit. Do you think we'll ever get to the item limit? I don't know. Now I'm going to clone that, definitely. And then we're going to rotate it. Yes, we are. I wonder if rocks count towards like processor limit. That's what I was thinking. Because the item limit is basically not how many items you can have in the world. It's how many items you can have, and you keep the sort of processor runtime down because you don't want to max out that kind of runtime. It's very steep at the back and very shallow at the front. We might have to raise it up a little bit around the edges. That's not a problem. It's not a problem. It's not even out of place, I don't think, because you find. I keep hitting the wrong button. That is actually an effect of having your keyboard the wrong side of a condenser microphone. So, hey kids, first world problems and all that. So we're doing this. Gonna put that there. So it looks a little bit, and if I'm going to be honest, a little bit like ass. I don't know if you could hear me whispering there, but I was basically saying it looks a bit like ass, which is a very scientific British way of saying looks like ass. No, it doesn't look like brilliant at the moment, but what we're going to do is use some smaller rocks to kind of create some sort of definition. These are just kind of here around the back, really, just to kind of... we're going to need the smaller rocks now. Here we go. Grab these small ones, because these are small and fairly square. Brilliant. There we go. And we can use these, because we can just keep using these ones, and it wouldn't be a problem. Where do we want the door? Where should the door be? It should be here. Okay, let's have a door here. Right. Okay. The door is going to be here. And I'm pushing all the wrong buttons on this keyboard, which I can barely see. Right, C, copy that, move that over here. This is kind of nice because it keeps in context with, let's move that upside down so it doesn't look like we've just used the same item twice. Let's move these down into the dirt, move it over a little bit. Because we've been using these kind of as like waypoint markers. To indicate that there might be something interesting, a little bit of interesting stuff to go and follow and have a look at. So we're going to do that. We are going to clone this one. Yes, we are. We're going to rotate it, indeed, and use this. So, this is brilliant. I'm loving it. I love when you can just kind of get a little bit on the old creative side. It's just like the game. You see, the game has some huge limitations in the map editor, and one of them being that there is a limited number of items, there are a limited number of items. Gosh, where did I learn how to English? There are a limited number of items that are non-physics objects. One of them is rocks. One of them is trees. So trees that haven't been cut down yet are non-physics items. But a lot of things like barrels and things like barrels, basically other things that we can sort of pop into the world and used to make interesting stuff like a submarine. I'd love to use a barrel as part of a conning tower or something. You just can't do it. You can't turn it into a non-physics entity. I am wondering if you could probably do it actually in the objects file. Sort of say, hey, this isn't a physics entity. Don't subject it to being bounced around. Or if there was a way of like garage modding it up, where you could be like, yeah, no, this item is now locked to this item, and it doesn't move anymore. That'd be kind of cool. But I guess it would also be open to, I wouldn't say abuse by map editors, but you always have to be a little bit careful when you're making a game that the tools that you give the players don't end up breaking the game in some way for you. So I suppose when they're actually making these bits at the back, they seem a little bit too chunky for my liking. Let's press T. Let's drop it down. That's better. That's better. Still a little bit too much on sort of chunky side, but that's cool, right? Yeah, you gotta be really careful with stuff like that. I suppose if you are sort of developing a game, and this game is very much in development, and you are a small team, you don't want to get things all messed up in ways that are incredibly difficult to handle, because human beings are very interesting creatures. You give them a problem, say, oh, you can't do this, we're going to put a barrier in front of you. People will generally find a way around whatever barrier you decide to create. It's kind of like water. People really do like taking the path of least resistance in ways that you can just not plan for. So, brilliant. We are kind of just chatting, just having a little chat, just kind of playing with bits and pieces that we've got in the world. This is looking real nice. Oh yeah, I'm liking this. Right, okay, fine. What we're going to do is we're not going to overbuild it. We don't need to overbuild it. That's going to be not good for us. It's kind of a reasonable size. It's not too big, not too small. Generally, these things tended to be quite small anyway. Partly conservation of heat, partly because things like communities would be quite small anyway. And on an island like this, where you would subsist mainly from fruits of the sea, you probably would find, these things wouldn't be too massive. You're not going to have Victorian size families here. Or maybe you would. Maybe everyone's related. That would be kind of creepy. So what we're going to do is change the size down. And target value, right, that's okay. We're going to leave the target value for a minute because we're just going to brush out here and just lower the ground so it's the same as the inside. Then we're going to go raise and lower, make sure it's on lower, make sure the amount is way down. Size can be a little bit larger than that. And we'll go with that. And then just sort of push it so that it looks like there is kind of a pathway here. Now, on the inside, this is absolutely flat. We're going to hit raise and just kind of click around, especially around the edges here, just to kind of raise up the dirt. Because over time, even if this was perfectly level, even if this was perfectly level originally, which it probably wouldn't have been, like weather and just general, I guess, I want to say biology. I suppose grass and mosses and stuff, dirt would have filled in and softened the edges over time. There we go. That's a kind of a more romantic way of saying it. Just kind of got dirt everywhere. Right, fine. So we're just kind of making it a little bit lumpy. It's barely noticeable. No, it's kind of noticeable. That's nice. Okay. There we go. So that's all softened up. We will obviously get out the smooth height. Make sure the amount is really quite low. Just give it a quick brush over, so take off any sharp edges. There we go. There's some sharp edges on the outside, which kind of pop out. Nice, but it's not in a way that's going to. Yep. So that's still kind of lumpy in there. That's not in a way that's. Yeah, that's okay. It's going to be a bit of terrain kind of jutting through that rock, but not a problem. Going to smooth this down around the edge, because although there'll be grass sprites and stuff here actually in the game, you just kind of want the edge to be a little bit smoother than an absolute sheer right angle. I don't like that. I don't like it. So we're going to push this down, push that down, push that down. Ah, there we go. There we go. Nice. So that looks like absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. But it is quite important. It's a little structure. What we're also going to do is take one of these, obviously, and then repeat a pattern that we've had before. There we go. I'll rotate you around, find a nice side. That is a nice side, right? Bring you over here. That's not the right toggle. That's the right toggle, and then kind of drop you into the terrain. Doesn't matter that, like, not a lot of it is showing, but, like the path over here and the kind of path over here, we're going to just repeat that pattern over here to make it look like, hey, at one point there was a little party path here. A reason for coming up here. And obviously the reason at this point will be gone. Now we're going to forest this area. So don't worry about this sort of being here, this little crashed UFO thingy. It will be forested and softened, and we'll do that. Will we do that now? Do we need to do that now? We could. I suppose we could. There's nothing stopping us from doing that. We'll press T, bring that out of the terrain because we just cloned it. Press a little R. Let's rotate it around, down a little bit because it's slightly further downhill. And then push it back. And the rule of 3. So we'll do 1 and 2. And I tell you what, we'll do a third one as well. Interesting little side note with the rule of 3. If you are, I don't want to say advertising. I hate advertising with something of a passion. I don't use the word hate that often. I think it's too strong a word. In real life, you might say many things you would not say in real life on YouTube or on a stream or whatever. But hate is one of those words I kind of reserve for things that I suppose you dislike with a passion, and advertising is one of them. But there are rules, and humans do think in threes. In history, not even so much history, but in storytelling, you have things like the 3 blind mice and Goldilocks with the 3 bears. Humans do kind of think in threes. So if you say to someone, hey, would you like some ice cream? And you say, we've got chocolate chip, we've got vanilla, and we've got strawberry. People will go, oh, right, okay, that's cool. But if you say, okay, we've got chocolate chip, we've got strawberry, we've got vanilla, we've got Rocky Road, and we have banana flavored ice cream. People go, oh, that's 5 things. That doesn't feel right for some reason. So yeah, if you're doing things, always do them with 3s. People work well with 3s. 3s and trees. Yeah, we're going to put some stuff in here. In fact, we're going to go back to the rocks a second because I think we've missed quite a big important thing. It's a shame we can't. It's a real shame we can't kind of make stuff a little bit thinner. That'd be neat. Like have little rock fragments to play with. I suppose when you're making a game about being stranded in the Pacific, you don't think, oh, you know what would be really good? Giving people the ability to make an ancient Gaelic civilization's ruins, I guess. Yeah, no, I don't know. I just want a little hearth, like a little fire hearth. Let's pop that on its edge and see what happens. See what we can do. Maybe we can use like a triangle shape. That's a bit sharper. Ah, there we go. Oh, ooh, That's quite good. I don't want it jutting too far out of the terrain. Let's rotate that back. Now we're going to be real careful about this. Okay, T puts it down. Okay. If I clone this now and then rotate... Oh. You can see how... Yeah, all right. See, if we rotate that, bring it round. All right. This is going to be a bit puzzly, but sure. Which one's up and which one's down? You're trying to work out, like, from this angle, trying to work... Because these... Yeah, I keep pressing F for some reason. F will focus, but it's kind of... Right, okay. So I want to move that out. I want to rotate it this way, but then knock it down a bit. I think are we slightly on a hill? Not really, okay. Okay, we should be okay. We should be okay. We'll knock it... which way's down? Blue is down, there we go. All right, now we're cooking with something that is neither solid, plasma, or liquid. I wonder what that could be. So let's move this way, that down a bit. Yeah, because I want a little hearth in the middle of the floor. We might only do this with this particular lodge, I guess. It's small enough to be a lodge rather than an actual house. This way. Now we could do a triangular one, or I guess we could kind of do a square one. Let's go for square and see where it takes us. I know this is kind of like a frivolous detail, but it's the little things that make all the difference. Said absolutely no one. Right, okay. Alright, which way is that? We want to push that down, so that's that way. Doesn't matter if it's been obscured slightly by the hillside. In fact, that raises up there anyway, so that might work quite well. That little detail, so we just hit terrain and objects. That little detail! It's a little, like, fireplace, fire pit in the middle of this thing. It's quite a small house, but then it doesn't need to be a big place on this island. That we have... oh my word, yeah, that... Oh, I'm liking that. That is... Yeah, I like that. That's neat. Right, okay, cool. So we need to do stuff. Slam a banana plant in there. Banana plant! Nah. Why would we do that? Why would we make a detail like that and then obscure it with a nana plant? What we do need to do is put some plants in or around here in order to kind of, I would say kind of obscure, but soften the fact that it is here. We're not going to use palms. We'll use those on the outside of the island. Ficus. That's a big old ficus tree. Nope. I think what I might do is put a ficus nearby. On top of the world. See, these ficuses are alright, but at the moment they kind of are used to detail other details, if that makes any sense. Probably not. You might say, "Oh, it doesn't make any sense. Oh, what are you talking about? I do not know. Unsubscribe." And I'll be like, well, every time we've made a feature, we've put a ficus tree nearby. Because the branches are real nice. They come out and you can kind of walk underneath them. They create nice shadows. And when the light is kind of low in the sky, they have the wonderful like God rays that come through. So they're quite nice around a feature to kind of soften it up. Make it not just look like it's been placed there, but like these things have grown around them. So yeah, that's quite nice. There is a little bit of a problem if we came along this. English. If we came along here and decided, hey, you know what? We want to put a roof on this and use it as a house. Might be a problem if we start putting tree branches above it because we can't really do much with these. So what I'm going to do is just kind of rotate this round, see if we can get a good mix of. I think it's too small anyway to put an item in there. Don't know. Let's do this. Just a little rotate. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It means nothing to me. Oh, Vienna. Yep. Oh, we're having a little look around. That's what I was doing. Just to make sure the roots were all in the ground, and they weren't. So now they are. Nice. Right, okay. So that's good. So we have a little house thing there. It looks a bit too strong. It might be a bit too strong. Just kind of, I don't know. We can check at different times of the day, you know. So time. Ooh, so that's nighttime. This thing will fill up with shadow anyway. Okay, right. And then midday, morning. Ah, bang! I'd love a little like delineations, I guess, to tell you what time of day it is. I know it's a little thing. These sliders do need little like numerical delineations. That'd be nice. So we're just kind of changing the time of day, just seeing the effect of what that tree is going to have, because that shadow is going to come across. So for a large part of the day, this thing's going to be in shadow, either its own shadow or the shadow of the tree. But then we're going to forest this anyway, so it might not be so much of a problem. But you just need to be aware when you're putting stuff down that that could whatever you build is going to have the light might be obscured in it or softened or in some way. I tell you what, let's get some pines. A little bit of cook pine action here. Or shall we? Shall we do that? You know what? Let's get rid of that for the time being. Yes, go. Be gone. What we will do is make a reason for coming in here. So, or at least being near it. Yucca, where can you go? Go here. In fact, no, let's put you. Let's not do Yucca. Let's not. I'm not feeling it. Young palms. Okay, not here. Tato plants. Kawa tree. That'd be neat. A kawa tree. Okay, right. Well, there's a little kawa tree there now. That's not what I was looking for. I was looking for the pines. You got some big old pines. Boop. That's a big old pine. Right. Okay. Might be too big. So we got. Let's get the 3 pines out. Pine 1. Pine 2. If you can make an appearance, please. Pine 3. You are needed in the green room. There we go. Pine 3. You do look quite interesting. In fact, we can already see kind of what this is going to end up like. These big old pine trees. I like that. So we could even have one actually in the thing itself. It would preclude us using it as a house, but it would show that it's been reclaimed by nature. I think we'll do that. We'll use one of these. Just kind of pop that down. There, rotate it. There we go. Just to kind of obscure some of the brickwork that we've created for ourselves. And you might say, hang on a minute. Whoa. Why would you use plants to obscure the things that you have built? And so, well, they still exist. But you don't want them to kind of just exist as a hard surface. As kind of this kind of absolute structure, I guess. And I'm pushing that button, and the caps lock is coming on my keyboard. That's the wrong button. So we're going to move these and angle these over a little bit. Press T, bring it back. Make sure it's actually in the ground, which it is. Oh, that's interesting. Rotate that. That was so even upright. It looks like it actually. The trunk of that thing's bent naturally anyway. Never noticed, never needed to notice before now. So we're just going to put this so it's touching the rock, but not actually in the rock. Good. And then this one here needs to come back a little bit. And I'll do the same thing. Just make sure the leaves aren't noticeably clipping into anything when they're not. Good. I mean, this will be filled with grass anyway, so. And then what we'll do is we'll grab the old brush. Here we are. And we'll have it on a raise. We'll have it on a very low amount. And in fact, change the size right down. And just kind of brush around the outside. And have this kind of little raised up attitude to the very outside of this. And you might say, hang on a minute, whoa, 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 what are you doing? What are you doing? Well, just to make it look like it's had an effect on the terrain around it and not just been carved into the terrain. Oh, okay. So, yeah, so there's a little once round the outside, like the Buffalo Girls, going round the outside, round the outside, round the outside. I don't know if anyone actually gets that reference, or whether they just think it's a line from an Eminem track. Yeah, it's the Buffalo Girls. Speaking of which, if you're at a loose end, go and watch a Doris Day film. I really like watching old films. It's quite interesting. The older the film, like you go far back in time enough. And the style of acting changes as people were more attuned to being stage actors. And they do things like they're trying to get their voice to the back of a theatre. So people like Peter Cushing act in a very different way to how you would see people on, I guess, just any given daytime TV show these days. Star Trek Discovery. Or Battlestar Galactica, or it's just everyone's dark and gritty, and it's just like, yeah, that's great, but no, acting is a way of telling a story, but it's also a way of entertaining people, and I have a worry that daytime television, or at least it's not daytime TV, is it? It's just programming made for TV. I think that's the more accurate way of saying it. Is straying away from the entertaining bit. And going a bit too gritty and realistic. And it's like, no, people do like being entertained. Right, so this is neat. I'm going to go back to objects. I'm going to move this over a little bit. There we go. I don't want it poking out of the ground, so I'm just going to check and make sure the base... camera's slamming through stuff, make sure the base is actually in there. Nice. So while this is kind of based on a Cornish house... The idea that we have pine trees here, cook pines, is, well, it's kind of alien to the old. What's that? Oh, that's that rock. The very, very top of the rock is showing. Yeah, I mean, in Cornwall we don't really. There are some gardens and stuff around that have trees and stuff kicking around, but in reality, we don't have that much in the way of trees. Not tall ones. Sycamores kind of grow, which are, I believe, part of the Acer family. They kind of grow pretty much everywhere, but then that's just a feature of the United Kingdom. One of the... as an Acer, would they be a natural species? Don't know. So we got some trees in, kind of gives us some feel to how the island is going to or what the island's going to look like once we've kind of forested it. So it's becoming a bit more, I guess in our mind's eye, we're kind of seeing its final form pop out a bit more, which is nice. So all these little features will be softened by the foliage. And then we'll kind of work out whether we want to be able to stand here and go, oh, look, there's that, there's this, we might have to put things in the way, like other rock structures and various bits and pieces. But you know what? That is something we will come across when we deal with it. We still have this here. Are we going to be putting big rocks here, or are we going to be putting cliffs here? I probably think the cliffs actually. I don't think that. No, that doesn't feel right. So we'll just have a quick look at the cliffs and see what they can give us. in terms of stuff that feels right, because if it feels right, it's probably okay for you. Unless it's Thoraider. There's a reference absolutely no one's going to get. Thoraider was I believe it was a French cosmetics company, and they used radium in their products. Well, not you. They use radium in their products to give you a healthy glow. Of course, radium is, radioactive, and putting radioactive material into things like cosmetics. I should delete that object. Cool. Putting radioactive material into cosmetics was probably not the best thing they could have done. And it continues to be a problem, I believe, in France, where they're having to track down caches of radioactive materials. This company used to sell based on advertising of the time, so they're still finding this stuff. Of course, it has a half-life of a very long half-life. So, Thoraider. Look that up if you're curious about history. They also did, what do they do? Corsets. They put radium in corsets for ladies to protect against rheumatism. Yeah, think about that next time you go, ooh, health and safety nightmare, no? Yep. It really wasn't back in the olden days. And they also gave it to people in like water. They had liquids, so you can make radium tea should you so wish. It would warm you from the inside out for about 500,000 years, something like that. Yeah, not good stuff. Not good stuff. History. If you're ever bored, just look up. I guess on Wikipedia, but there are better places to look up history. And just find out what happened on this day. That's always a good one. It's a little rabbit hole you can throw yourself down. Yeah. So what are we doing? Pushing these rocks in. So it's not giving. Is this giving the effect that I want? No, because there's a pattern repeat here. Right, okay. Let's deal with that. And by deal with it, I mean do that. There we go. So I'm just looking for a repeated pattern in the clefts, and there's one here, and I don't like it. Don't like it up, Mr. Mannering. Captain Mannering. Oh, you're getting all that all wrong. Right, okay. So that's good. So we got some unclimbable cliffs there. The pattern's not really noticeable. We're putting these rocks here. We don't want to block anything off. We want the green one. There we go. We don't block anything off, but at the same time, we want to make it look like a continuation of this kind of rocky formation. So yeah, you can get to the beach from there, but just know that it's going to be steep, and we could even put some trees and stuff along here as well. Trees. Hang on a minute, but we're on the outer perimeter of the island. What kind of trees are we going to put here? Palm trees. Top shop. Palm trees. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to put some palm trees there. Oh, Top shop is comes from the Mighty Boosh. It's a reference that no one's probably going to get. There's a lot of references that no one's going to get. I'd be sad, but sorry, I can't be sad. Can't be sad. This thing's going to block egress onto the beach, so we're going to move it slightly. There we go. These guys, I don't like them being all the same size, so what we're going to do is put a big one down, but put a big one down over here. Make sure it's down into the sand. Cool. What we can also do is... I did a little whistle. I'm sorry. I don't like doing that, but it's like you're in your own. You're playing around with a Dremel. You're like, hey, this thing needs to be Dremeled. So you're kind of working out how best to turn it into a pile of sawdust, and you do a little whistle to yourself. You're like, now I'm whistling to myself like a canary. Oh no, not a canary. People who worked on American airships. Hello and welcome to Wisp. This is the History Channel. All the things you may not have known. Yeah, people used to work on airships, especially the American, well, particularly the American, well, only the American airships. They were encouraged to whistle to themselves or sing or talk or do it, stuff like that, because if you had a helium leak, the pitch would go up. Ah, I didn't know that. Well, you do now, my friends, you do now. So I'm going to turn the ocean off and just kind of bring this out. We can actually crank this up. What are we doing? We are setting the height. The amount can go up a little bit more because we want some action to happen here. I just want to push this out like a bulge. There we go. Yeah. We can change the size up as well. There we go. Oh, that's much better. Much more powerful. Much more powerful. There we go. And then we can push it back. All I want to do is do it. Do it? No. Wait, what? We'll crank the amount up. We'll turn it to 100% and rip the knob off. We're just going to smooth this all the way back. That's kind of cool. We lose a lot of that edge by smoothing it back. But that's not smooth. Yeah, what's going on? That's not smooth. Have I talked about Cornish pasties before? Probably not. It's a food stuff that you have in Cornwall, and it's essentially, I heard an American call it a hand pie, which is kind of cute. It was Cornish pasty is essentially a pastry case, kind of a half moon shaped savoury pastry with meat and vegetables on the inside, with a very thick crust. And the idea was, as a miner, you would go down into mines, you would have it wrapped in cloth or I guess waxed paper. But in the mines around here, they were tin mining, and they would dig out things like arsenic, and there was a lot of stuff underground that you really didn't want to be underground. Lots of heavy metals and stuff. And lunchtime, what they would do is they would break out the pasties, they would eat them, but they would hold the crusts, and then they'd throw the crusts away for the knockers, which were the spirits that lived underground. And there were things like, I can't remember what they were called. There were beams that if they creaked, you had a few seconds to get the heck out of that, because they were like an early warning system. So yeah, Cornish pasty, not a pasty, as the same American that I was listening to was calling them. It's like, have you ever had a pasty? I'm like, no, I can't say I have. So, did I finish the conversation about airships? Yeah, whistling on airships, helium leak. Okay, so dirigibles back in the 20s and 30s, they existed way before. They existed in the 1800s. And balloons have existed for a lot longer than that. But dirigibles, the likes the Americans use, things like the... What is going on here? As directed, angle, smoothing. Wow, smoothing at an angle. Yeah, I don't think we want that, my friends. The Americans had things like the Shenandoah, the USS Akron, and what you have is a duralumin frame. So you have spars and ribs, much like a boat. In fact, we can actually have a look at something that has spars and ribs on it. Whoa, over here. Spars and ribs, much like a boat. And what they would do is they would... you'll do. Impromptu history lesson, my friends. No, you won't do. We'll just take a rock. We'll take a big rock. And what they would do is they would have inside, they would have these bags of helium or hydrogen if you were a German airship, because the Americans wouldn't give the Germans helium. The Hindenburg was actually originally designed to use helium, and then they had to redesign it to use hydrogen. Hydrogen actually gives you more lift than helium. Kind of an interesting little fact there. But they were stored in individual bags along the internals of the vessel. There were rigging, so between the spars and ribs, there were actually diagonal rigging, wire rigging that would be there, and you'd have a team of riggers on the ship, on the airship. And if a wire broke and tore one of the bags, then you'd be able to hear like a pitch change if there was helium leaking out, or if there was, one of the hoses gone or something. You would hear the helium leaking out. Helium comes from radioactive plates in Texas, I believe. So that's a kind of cool thing. We're carrying on with this over here. Let's turn the motion back on. The Hindenburg. Oh my god, yeah. Sad end to something that had actually flown many thousands of miles to Brazil, and actually quite far around the world. It was, I think, the sort of going theory, based on a book by I remember the book. I have it in the other room. I want to say it's not Philip K. Dick. It's somebody else. I'll have to look that up at some other time. But essentially they turned too tightly at Lakehurst because the world's press was watching, and they were running out of time to land the ship, to berth the ship, and they turned way too tightly. It was Captains Pruss and Lehrman, because there were two captains on board, as was standard with German airships. And they essentially, I think they were only supposed to turn at about 7 degrees, turn way more than that. Probably broke some of the rigging lines on the inside, tore one of the bags or multiple of the bags, and so hydrogen leaked out through the vents as they were trying to descend, because you would vent hydrogen, and it just ignited and caused the whole thing to start burning. Interesting fact that fewer people died in the Hindenburg disaster than the Akron disaster, which essentially USS Akron was an airship which was designed as an aircraft carrier. Yeah. Well, we're going to put a tree there. This is kind of the master plan for the sightings. So I love history, I always get confused when people don't read into history. I can't really understand it. So we're putting some trees here. What we've done is put trees either side of this beach. Put some rocks here as just a little focal point. We can put loose stones and stuff around that, which would be nice. But it means that we've got these palm trees either side of the beach. So as we're running along, it's not just palm trees, beach. It's palm trees, rocks, beach, water. So that's kind of cool. We've got the trees up here, which I think I'll just leave there for the time being. They can give us some sort of visual waypoint as we are building the rest of our island. We've got a little house, which is kind of cool, with this little fire pit, and there'll be grass and stuff, so it will be softened even more than it is. We've got this little pathway down to what could have been like a little fishing beach. That would have been nice. We have obviously our stone circle, our curiosity on top of the hill, the little cut through pathway. We might do another one of these somewhere else on the island. We've got a little tree, then we've got this kind of curious area here which we still need to do something with. We might end up putting another little pathway through and then just punching some little lakes or something here, and then putting trees around it, like a not a bayou, but yeah, I know what I mean. just not swampland, something similar to that. So this is looking interesting. I know it seems like it's taking a lot longer to do than the last island, but it really isn't. Once we throw a load of trees over that, which will probably be one of the last things we do, some trees and some foliage and various bits and pieces, it'll just kind of pop in. So that'll be nice. But I tell you what, I'm going to have to leave it there. So you know what? If you're liking these videos, if you get any enjoyment from them, be sure to leave a thumbs up, leave a little like. If you've subscribed because you like the smooth tones of my voice, oh God, why? Definitely click on the little bell, because you'll get a notification that way, or go to the website and click on the little RSS feed thing. It'll just give you straight notifications straight to your browser. But you know what? I am going to leave it there. So Until next time.